Hello, my name is Laura White. I am currently working on my Master's of Education, and today I'm going to be showing you a short version of my professional development that was assigned by my course, Special Education and Disabilities. I was personally assigned executive function and the deficits you can find within it and disabilities. Now, executive functioning is a set of mental and cognitive processes. It helps the individual just organize information. It helps them process the world that's going around them, and it allows them to just start and finish simple tasks. There are actually 7 different types of executive functions, and they are self-awareness, inhibitions of your emotions and behaviors, your nonverbal working memory, which just works with your sensory and spatial information, your verbal working memory, which deals with how you process speech and language, your motivational regulation, your ability to plan, and your ability to problem solve. Now that you know the 7 different executive functions, you may be wondering what exact problems do people most often struggle with when they have or may seem to have executive dysfunction? Well, to start it off, it starts with task management, which means they may struggle with multitasking, starting tasks or finishing them, general concentration, or even processing of information, which could be auditory information, written information, or visual information. The next ability that may be affected is their ability to organize. This may seem like an inability to keep their things organized. They may have a messy desk or a dirty backpack, or maybe their binder is just jammed full of papers and everything does not seem to have any structure whatsoever. They may lose their items a lot. They may not be able to keep track of their homework assignments, or their pencils, or their erasers, or even their favorite items. This could also look like a lack of time management, where it's hard for them to keep up with their homework assignments, especially if it's a long-term project with a due date that's far in advance. And then finally, their short-term memory may be affected. Like they may not remember something that was just told to them 5 minutes ago. The last common problem of executive dysfunction is impulse control. This may look like they're acting without thinking or they're very impulsive. Like they shout out in the middle of class or in the middle of a crowd out in public. Maybe they appear overly emotional, like one little thing that seems very minor makes them very upset, or something very small makes them super duper happy and just very exuberant. Just very big emotions. Maybe they just have general trouble listening or paying attention, which does go back with task management, but also goes with impulse control because it shows a lack of ability to control themselves and stay in that moment. Then the last thing would be having socially inappropriate behaviors. This may be physical aggression because they aren't able to physically control themselves in that intense moment. Or maybe they say something out loud that seems rude or condescending when that is not their intention at all. It's just what popped up in their head in the moment. So now that you know what deficits most often come with executive dysfunction, you may be wondering what disabilities most often have this deficit. Well, they are attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, more commonly known as ADHD, depression, anxiety, neurological disorders such as Alzheimer's, dementia, strokes, epilepsy, or Huntington's disease, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, obsessive compulsive disorder, more commonly known as OCD, autism spectrum disorder, and a traumatic brain injury. You might be curious as to What causes poor executive functioning? Well, this professional development is more to help you learn how to best support these students. It is important to understand how it happens. Often it could be multiple factors. It could be genetic, such as inheritable disorders and diseases. It could be issues that come into play as they're growing natally or during the birth process even. It could be exposure to toxins in the air as they're growing. It could be fetal alcohol syndrome even. Or even childhood trauma can affect a person's executive functioning. And trauma later on in life, such as we know of traumatic brain injuries. Now, to end this professional development, we will finally touch the topic on how we can best support our students who struggle with executive dysfunction. Here are some of the strategies that we can practice to truly help and support them build these necessary life skills. Now, I got these strategies from ditsthattextbook.com. I'll share the link down below. The first strategy they provided was be their surrogate brain. Provide one-on-one instruction to the student. Maybe provide guided practice and model the homework in class before you send it home to them so they know what's expected of them on the assignments. Provide visual reminders for them throughout the day. The second strategy is be explicit and clear about due dates and their expectations. Use visuals for the materials you're teaching for them so they're exposed to multiple learning styles. Use games to make it fun for them when they're learning vocabulary or math. And have them write important dates on a monthly calendar. The third strategy is to use life skills in your lessons. Have students use timers to see how long it takes them to complete a task undisturbed. Model pre-reading strategies, and model the writing process by using samples. The fourth strategy is to help with their working memory overload. Encourage students to use sticky notes to remember tasks and break these tasks up into smaller pieces so they don't get overwhelmed. Let them use visual checklists for assignments, especially those large and lengthy assignments that seem so overwhelming to them. The fifth strategy is to provide consistent opportunities for guided learning. Use guided oral reading exercises and templates and diagrams to help them stay organized and on task on assignments. Present new skills to them in a spiraling manner and review old skills with them so they can remember what's going on. And also do role-playing of class rules once a week to help them model these wanted behaviors in your classroom and school. The sixth strategy is to develop and stick with routines. Use class-wide organization, such as have each subject have its own specific color, like math is always in the red folder, reading is always in the blue folder, and science is always on the green folder. Also do binder checks to help them stay organized and clean so they have everything that they need in one expected place. Have specific test days, like every Friday has a spelling quiz, and maybe every Wednesday has a regular math unit check. Make sure to set aside time on the same day each week to also help them plan out their calendar. An example of this could be Sarah always has ballet on Thursday, a math test on Friday, but she also is visiting her grandma on Sunday. Help her build out this calendar for her week so she knows what's to come. The last and final strategy is allow your students to be human. Have class check-ins with them to see how they're doing. Practice mindfulness techniques with them so they can learn how to be responsible for themselves so they can practice this independence. Allow them to have brain breaks so they don't get overwhelmed or overstimulated. And let them share their mistakes and challenges so they can know it's okay to be wrong. There's nothing wrong about that. It's normal, and that's a part of the growth process. And to really help this, Be honest about your mistakes and frustrations. Let them know that you're also human. This transparency can build a strong relationship of trust and respect between you and your students. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today, as I'm on a bit of a time crunch for this professional development assignment for my class. However, if you'd like to learn more, I'll link my PowerPoint down below so you can see the in-depth descriptions on why each disability has executive functioning deficits. I'm also going to share 3 self-tests down below as a little activity for you to see where you fall on executive functioning skills. Don't fret if you receive a poor score. If you do, and you're an adult, you may already know where you struggle and where you fall on. And that's perfectly okay, and it is perfectly normal. And you likely already have masking techniques and self-care skills to help you cover these deficits you may already have. And that's perfectly fine. If any of these comes as a shock to you and you're concerned, please go see healthcare support. Seek help from a local therapist, a local psychologist, or any healthcare provider you have access to. I wish you the best and a good day. And just take to heart that these tests are to just help you build empathy and understanding with your students so you can better support them and care for them. Thank y'all for for listening to me, and please again check the links down below. My PowerPoint will have the references that I use to gather this information and a more detailed description on exactly what executive dysfunction is. Bye!